Hi all, in this video we're going to take a look at an example of how to find the degrees between the hour and the minute hands of a clock. But before we even do that, let's talk about the basic number of degrees in a clock. Well, in a complete circle we know that we have 360 degrees, but our clock is divided into 12 equal portions. Actually, if we really take a look at the minutes, it's divided into 60 equal portions. But let's take a look at the primary 12 that our clock is divided into. In each of those portions, we should know how many degrees is in each of those 12 equal portions. So the number of degrees in a complete circle is 360 degrees. We know that our clock is divided into 12 equal portions, and a clock is a complete circle. So in each one of those portions, we get 30 degrees. So between the 1 and the 2 is 30 degrees. Between the 2 and the 3 is 30 degrees. Between the 3 and the 4 is 30 degrees, and so on. Each one of these 12 portions is then divided into 5 equal portions as well. Okay, and they are called our minutes. Alright, so each of those 12 equal portions has 5 ticks or 5 minutes in it. So at the bottom I'm going to go ahead and fill in 5 ticks or 5 minutes is 30 degrees. How many degrees are in one tick? Well, in 5 ticks we have 30 degrees. So we're going to divide that 30 degrees by 5 to see how many degrees are in one. So we get 6 degrees are in one tick or 1 minute. So how are we going to use this information to find out the number of degrees between an hour hand and a minute hand? So let's do an example, and we're going to find the degrees between the hands of a clock when they're pointing to 1:22. So first off, let's go ahead and draw our hands on a clock. So 22 minutes, the minute hand is going to be pointing between the 4 and the 5 at exactly 22 minutes. So 2 tick marks past the 4 will be our minute hand. So I just drew that in. But now our hour hand is somewhere between the 1 and the 2, and it's not clear exactly where it is because our hour is divided into 60 equal parts, and 22 minutes past the hour doesn't land our hand on any of these tick marks between the 1 and the 2. So let's just approximate where our hour hand is going to fall, and it's approximately going to fall somewhere here. And if we draw that out, it's not necessarily right on that second tick. It's probably a little either before or a little after that tick. I think it's slightly before that tick. So let's see, we are going to find the number of degrees between that hour hand and that minute hand right there. So how are we going to do that? Well, first off, how many whole sections of the clock do we have? We have this whole part between 2 and 3 and between 3 and 4. We have 30 degrees in each of those. 30 degrees because we have 2 whole sections of our clock right there. And then we have this piece between the 4 and the minute hand. This piece right here is 2 complete ticks, and we said 1 tick is 6 degrees, so 2 complete ticks is 12 degrees. So far we have 72 degrees, but now we're missing this portion here because it's not an exact piece. We need to know how much of that hour is still left, where that hour hand is exactly pointing between the 1 and the 2. Well, let's go ahead and highlight between the 1 and the 2. Let's highlight that piece. Let's call this 1. We'll call this 2. We have 5 equal parts there, and our hour hand is somehow pointing something like this. So how do we figure this out? Well, we know that in an hour, this is divided up into 60 minutes. This piece right here, okay? Because in an hour, that hour hand only moves from the 1 to the 2. So if that's divided up into 60 minutes, we know this first part here, from the 1 to our hour hand, is 22 parts of that hour. And from the hour hand to the 2 is 38 parts of that hour. Okay, so that should make it a little bit easier to see how much this is going to give us. And we know this whole thing gives us 30 degrees. So what portion of this hour is remaining? We need this piece from the hour hand to the 2. We know that the portion of that hour is 38 over 60. That's how much of the hour is left. And we know in this complete portion between 1 and 2 is 30 degrees. So we need 38/60ths of that 30 degrees. So we multiply 38/60ths by 30 degrees. Let's go ahead and reduce, make it a little bit easier. 38 over 2 is 19 degrees. So this piece right here between the hour hand and the 2 is 19 degrees. So let's go ahead and add up all those degrees we calculated. We have 19 degrees. We have 30 degrees. We have another 30 degrees. And then we have 12 degrees. And that gives us a total of 91 degrees between our hour hand and our minute hand. That concludes this video.